A very good morning, students. This is your English teacher Benu Sehrawat, and once again, I welcome you all to RKP online classes. All right, so we'll continue with the second part of the lesson, 3 questions. All right, I want all of you to open the books at page number 8, and here we are. All right, now in their answers to the second questions. Now, first question has already been discussed, and we know what all answers did the king get in the answer for the first question, right? Now we talk about the second question here. In their second answers, first we need to recall what was the second question. Do you remember? Well, I hope you do, right? So our second question was, which people should he listen to? Who are the most important persons that he should listen to? All right, now let's see what are the answers given by different people here. Some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. Now we already know who are counselors. Counselors are the people who are, members of his advisory council, who always advise the king on different matters, like this is good for you, this is bad for the kingdom, you shouldn't go for this one, and you should do this particular work like this. So all kinds of suggestions are given by the counselors. So somebody said the counselors were the most important people, and others said the priest is the person who does all the worship and some related rituals, right? A few others chose the doctors, and yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary. Now here also, in second answer also, he got so many different answers, right? Somebody said counselors, then priest, then doctors, soldiers, etc., right? And then to the third question, right? So now the third question that was in his mind was, what is the most important thing for him to do at a particular time, right? Now in this answers to this question that he got were something like this. Some said science. All right. Some said science could help him out, in getting the answer to these questions, right? And then others chose fighting. They said fighting was the most important thing for him to do. Yet others, religious worship. Somebody said worship is the most important thing, right? So these were the different things which were told by different people. Now, as the answers of his questions were so different, the king was not satisfied and gave no reward. Now you remember, he claimed and he said, he promised that whosoever would come up with answers to these 3 questions would certainly be given reward by the king. But now, as the king was not at all satisfied with the answers given to the 3 questions, he decided not to give any award, right? Any reward. Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. But then now the king was really disappointed, right? He was disappointed, he was sad, he was dejected because he did not get the answers, right? And now he finally thought to meet the hermit. Now, hermit is a person who is not interested into materialistic things like money and uh, cars, mobile phones, things like this. They are not interested into such kind of things, and they are very simple people. They like to live alone, maybe in a forest. Yes, so there was a hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. All right, so he was popular for his wisdom, for his intelligence. So he thought of seeking his advice. Now beta, you see here advice. So here it is a noun. Okay, it is a noun. You focus on here, on the C. If it is advice, that means it is a noun. Like I want to thank you for your advice. Now in this sentence it is a noun. But if I say, see, I am into a big problem, and please advise me what I should do here, right? So here the sentence which I just spoke, in that advice, that is a verb. So these are tiny things which you should always remember. That was a bonus point, I would say here, so please do not forget that. All right, now the hermit lived in a wood which he never left. Now wood means forest. Okay, wood means forest. Now this person, this hermit, he lived in a forest and he never left that. He always used to live in that forest only. He saw no one but simple people. All right, now saw means he met. He did not meet anyone except very simple people who are really simple at heart, who are not very much into materialistic things, as I told you. And so king put on ordinary clothes. Now because the king knew that he would not meet anybody who would look very fancy, who would look very rich, so the king decided to change his appearance, and he wore very simple clothes instead when he went there. All right, before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and went on alone. So now when he was about to reach the hermit's place, what did he do there? He just left his horse there, right? And his bodyguard also, he asked his men to stay back there only and not accompany him, not come with him, right? And then from thereafter he went alone to his place, right? Now can you think why he did that? Why did he leave his horse and his bodyguard there at back? Why didn't he let them accompany him? I hope you can understand it. All right, very good. So actually the reason is that he wanted to hide his real identity, and he just wanted to appear as a very simple person to hermit, and that was the reason. All right, now as the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. Now when the king reached at hermit's place, what was the hermit doing at that time? He was digging. Okay, you can see the picture here, right? So this person, this is the hermit, all right? This is the hermit and this is his hut, and this is the king. You can see him, he is wearing simple clothes. He doesn't look like any king here, right? So now when the king reaches here, what was the hermit doing? He was digging the ground, right? Now I'm sorry. Yes, he greeted the king and continued digging. The hermit was old and weak, and as he worked, he breathed heavily. Okay, he breathed heavily. Now, when the king came there, of course, whenever we meet somebody, beta, what is the first thing that we do? We always greet the person, right? So the same thing was done by the hermit, right? And then but then he did not stop from what he was doing. He kept digging, he did not stop, right? And the hermit, as you can see him, he was old and weak, he was not very strong, and as he worked, he breathed heavily. Okay, he breathed heavily, and because he was weak and he was old as well, so of course at his age, the kind of physical work he was doing was quite difficult for him, right? And that is the reason he was breathing heavily. He was breathing heavily, right? Because he was tired. Now, the king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn to the right thing at the right time? To do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most? And what affairs are the most important? Now, the king, he came closer to the hermit and he said, and he told him the reason of his coming there, right? And then he also told him all the 3 questions, and he said, yes, I want to seek answers of these questions, and I am really hopeful that you are the person who is going to help me in this particular situation. The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work in your place. Now, of course, the hermit listened to the king, whatever he said, but it was very strange. Why? Because, the king was talking to him, but then instead of, stopping the work and talking to the king, the hermit kept on digging. He did not stop his work. But then the king again, he said, you look tired, and why don't you let me do your work at your place? Okay, so he says, let me take the spade. This is the spade, beta. This is the spade. Okay, this is the tool with the help of which we dig the ground. That is called spade. Alright, now when the king offered the help to the hermit, what did the hermit say? What did the hermit say? He says, thanks, giving the king his spade. Then he sat down on the ground. But then what happened? At that particular time, hermit stopped and he gave the spade to the king, right? And then he went and sat on the ground. Okay. Now, please turn the pages. When the king had dug 2 beds, okay, 2 beds. Now, beta, what is a bed? See, this is called bed. You see here, okay, right? This is one bed. So, When the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit gave no answer, but stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade, and said, "Now you rest and let me work." Now, when the king was, digging the ground, and he had already dug 2 beds, he again thought of, uh, you know, uh, again asking the questions. So he did that, but the hermit, I don't know what is the reason behind that, but he is adamant, he is stubborn, not to give any answer to his questions, right? And he just, instead of giving the answers, he just stood up and he stretched. Now stretching out his hand, stretching out, that means, if stretching out means to ask for the spade. Stretching out his hand for the spade, he just asked the king for the spade. And then he said, "Now I will walk, you rest now." But the king did not give him the spade and continue to dig. But this time, the king, he did not give him the spade, and he said, "Let me continue with the work." 1 hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, "I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me so and I'll return home." Alright, now by now the king was really frustrated. Okay, many hours passed, and now the sun, it was about to set, right? But then, out of desperation, out of frustration, he just put the spade into the ground with a little force, right? To show his frustration, and he said, "I came here for a purpose, because I wanted to know the answer to my questions. But if you do not want to answer me, please let me know, I'll go home. I will not pressurize you to give the answers, but at least you should tell me whether you are going to give me the answers, right?" "Here comes someone running," said the hermit. Now, the moment, the king, he had just finished saying this thing, the hermit said, "See, somebody is coming here, running," right? So, this was part 1, beta, right? So, I hope till here you have understood, right? So, now there are comprehension questions here. Let us discuss these questions. Why did the king want to know answers to 3 questions? Can you, do you recall? It was there in the starting, in the beginning of the lesson only, right? Do you remember? Why did the king want to know answers to these 3 questions? Well, very good. Actually, he wanted to know the answers to these 3 questions because according to him, if he knew the answers of these 3 questions, he would be a really successful person, right? Now, second is, messengers were sent throughout the kingdom. Now, these are the options, right? And we have to tell what was their purpose, right? To fetch wise men, to find out answers to the questions, to look out for the wise hermit, to announce a reward for those who could answer the questions. Yes. So, this will be the answer here. You can see here, to fetch wise men, of course, they were not, to fetch means to bring, fetch means to bring. So, of course, they did not go there to, bring wise men to the king, right? So, this is wrong. To find answers to the questions, no. They did not go there to find the answers. to look for the wise hermit? That is also wrong, because the king himself went there later on. And this is our correct answer here, to announce a reward for those who could answer the questions. All right, my dear students, I hope till here you have understood the lesson well. Still, if you have any doubt, please do not hesitate to ask me. And in our next video, we'll continue with part 2. Thank you so much.